Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Market Psychology 101. I think I figured out the issues with the live streaming. So hopefully you all can hear me. I'm going to do a little test. Make sure you can. And in a minute or two here, we should get started on some Bitcoin analysis.
Hear me?
Sweet. So there is somewhat of a delay. I'll be keeping track of the comments. It's about a 30-second delay if you're watching. So for today's video, the live stream, I just wanted to recap what I've been talking about with all my videos this week, and that's exploring where Bitcoin might be going. Going over the rainbow chart. Let's make sure we refresh this so it looks all nice and pretty. Looking over the alt season index. We'll take it out on the larger time frames. That sideways movement does concern me just a little, as well as going over fear and greed. Right now, crypto, God, I swear to God, guys, I do not look at anything bad on my computer. I know you guys are going to be like, yeah, sure. But these advertisements, I never know what I'm going to get. But it's always from Temu, and it's the most random crap. Get a sex doll, 25% off. First stream, starting off great. So here at Market Psychology, what do we talk about? Fear and greed. And look at this. Look how quick things change. Last week, we were in extreme fear. Today, we've completely flipped. 75 is extreme greed. In 1 week. 1 week. Look at that. 1 week, we've totally flipped. So if you click the 1 month time frame, you guys can see we were down as low as 53.5K. Right now, Bitcoin charging up. It's at 67 and some change. So just right here with this change in price, we went from extreme fear to extreme greed. A 26% move inside of a week. Welcome to crypto. Can you imagine seeing this with Apple, Nvidia, Google, any of the Mag 7 stocks? It's crazy. And this is with a $1+ trillion market cap for Bitcoin. So quite a move we've been having. I want to zoom out here. We'll get back to fear and greed in a second. Something I keep coming back to, and I tell you guys, trend lines are only good for as long as they're good for. But you can see Bitcoin has been in love with this trend line. I started drawing it back here because I was going to do a channel, but then we broke under the channel. And Bitcoin kept hitting this trend line. But then as it went underneath to the 200-week moving average, came back up to the trend line, started riding it up, came back down to it. Also at the 0.5, really got extended away from the trend line. Now back under it and back to it. So I wonder how long is Bitcoin going to be following this trend line? Again, trend lines, they're only good for as long as they're good for. But it's crazy how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 to 8 times this trend line has come into play. Might that continue for a while? Let's go back to fear and greed. That's stocks. Let's go to crypto fear and greed. In the short term, man, look at that turnaround. I mean, as recently as July 13th, 1 week later, we've completely flipped. Let's zoom out a bit. So this was right when I got back from my vacation. And took a vacation at a good time, but when I came back, I was like, whoa, this might be a great time to buy. I'm not sure how much time I have. Got to be greedy when others are fearful. And things turned around real quick. If you look at the last year, this is the most fear we've had outside of this moment here, September of 2023. What was going on there in September of 23? I'm just curious. Let's go way back. Getting stretched out here. August, September. Okay. So Bitcoin had a couple tops. Maybe people were thinking double top or something. But we were just going sideways from March to September. So a little bit over half a year. I can understand why people were getting bearish. Half a year, we're going sideways. And this is, of course, not too much, about a year after. A year after the whole FTX sell-off. But when it pumped real quick, half a year plus 7 months sideways. And at that time, here in September of 23, people were getting bearish. Turns out they shouldn't have been. They should have been getting bullish because we've gone pretty much 3x, almost 3x since that time. And on the way up, we've talked about this, but it's good to review. If anyone's new here, welcome. We've had so many 20% corrections, 20-ish percent, give or take a few. Hard to time the exact tops or bottoms, but those are 20% corrections right there. How many have we had? 3, 4, 5. Well, now this one, that's been our biggest one. 6 20-ish percent corrections. 2 in this channel. Might we get a third? I'm going to be a little bit concerned if we get a third, because if we get a third, it's hard to argue against the whole head and shoulders. Is something like that going to happen? Let's move this out of here. Might we get a head and shoulders, and then if we did, I want to get rid of that. The heck. Keep forgetting I have to select that. If we did get a head and shoulders, typically you measure the distance from the head and then go down almost an equal distance, somewhere close to this. We have all this price structure in the 0.5. So if things did get very bearish, this is the technical analysis you came here for. If things did get pretty bearish, and I have no doubt that we're probably going to get very volatile going into the election. And should we get a more volatile market and crypto gets one big sell-off, one more flush out, you can see here we have the 0.5, we have the 100-week moving average, we have all this price structure. So those are 3 things right here: price structure, the 0.5, macro fib, and the 100-week moving average. We zoom out, you might wonder, how did I get that 100-week moving average? Drew a fib from the prior high to low, and that's where we're at. Let me make sure, by the way. Oh God. Starting to draw these little green dots everywhere. Let me make sure that our fib is on log scale. Also don't want all this crap hanging around here. I got to get a mouse. But if we take our fib, yep, we got put on a log scale. So that wouldn't be the 0.5 actually, my bad. That would be a little bit above the 618. 786 is here at 52K. And maybe that's the correction we get. It's part of this channel. It's possible we get a fake out head and shoulders and just blast up. And for any of you guys watching, how many do we have watching here? 3. Hey, it's a start. Welcome, all 3 of you. What's your price prediction on how high Bitcoin might get this cycle? We'll get into the rainbow chart here in a second. But before we move on from the fear and greed, you can see here that we have the largest base of greed that we've ever had. We haven't been getting down into these low 20s or teens. We had our other largest base for greed was back here when Bitcoin in December 2020 was making new all-time highs from the 2017 peak. Largest base of greed, just like here. The one thing that does concern me, though, you can see how long we've been in an uptrend from fear to greed, and now you can't deny this. This is the third point. It's a lower high, lower lows. Might we be getting a minor downtrend? So we're going up, down, before going up again. And if I had to guess, I would say there would be increased volatility, maybe some more choppiness, one more final flush of Bitcoin. This is my guess. Obviously, I'd love for things to go straight up, 200K. All the money in Bitcoin flows into our altcoins. We become rich. But things are, of course, choppy up and down, sideways until then. So before I get into the rainbow chart, let's take a look at the VIX. This is the volatility index, if any of you guys are unaware. And right now, overall, we have very low volatility in the markets. I know stocks and crypto aren't always perfectly correlated, but when stocks go down, crypto gets affected just the same. You can go back to March of 2020 if you want to verify that. Speaking of March of 2020, anytime volatility, guys, if you're looking for good long-term investment advice, some of the simplest stuff, and nothing here is financial advice. All right, take a look at that again. Anytime volatility is 25 or higher, tends to be a good time to dollar cost average in or look at better value in stocks or crypto. So volatility has been really low, but we have the election coming up in November. And let's just go back. Let's take a look at all the times we had elections. So November of 24, where's November of 2020? So look at the base of volatility. The base of the volatility is way above where we're at now. This was the low for that election. Ooh, we see some predictions, 110K by the end of the year. I like that prediction. Welcome, Daniel. Antonio, like the name. I'm going to be going over rainbow chart stuff in this video. Thank you guys for joining. I like that 110K prediction. But right now we're going to go through the volatility. Election years, can we reasonably expect higher volatility going into the election and possibly one more flush to get really good value? Antonio brought up the rainbow chart. We're going to look at the rainbow chart, and we might be, if this is another typical 3-4 year cycle, if we do have one more flush out, that might be the last time to get the best value we can in crypto before it has a blow off top and then sells off. Anyways, let's look at volatility. Let's go to November of 2016 or into November of 2016. Okay, well, this is disproving my theory right here. Look at this. Volatility, there was a little spike kind of before the election up to 23, but overall, not too bad of volatility. That kind of surprises me. You guys remember how contentious that election was? I mean, they all are. Everything's so divisive. Not trying to get into politics here, but I would have expected higher volatility. There were those 25 spikes. Let's go back to 2012. Woo, 2012. Overall, more volatile times for this election. Was that Obama versus Romney or McCain? I forget. Almost a little bit more volatile than Trump. Overall, this seems to be a little higher than right here. Let's go back. Well, 2008, obviously, we know. Great financial crisis. What about 2004? Not too bad. Pretty low volatility. 2000, a little bit higher. But we had the dot-com bubble. So that's interesting. I wouldn't say that's like, that kind of, looking at that made me slightly adjust my views a little bit. I was expecting things to be more volatile until I looked at that chart, and you have to have data to back up your point of view. And right there, it's okay to adjust your point of view if the data shows otherwise. And a couple of volatile times were the recessions. The dot-com bubble The great financial crisis. I promise I'm getting to the rainbow charts next. Dot-com bubble, great financial crisis. Of course, in '08 and 2000, we're going to be volatile. But '04, not too bad. 2012, decently volatile. I mean, I guess we were testing the prior all-time highs. In 2016, really wasn't too bad. Market was kind of bottoming here before doing a pretty big run-up. Let's get over to the rainbow chart. Bitcoin rainbow chart. I love talking about rainbow chart, by the way. Antonio, I appreciate you saying that. The rainbow chart's so interesting. I mean, I think Bitcoin and crypto tricks so many people into making predictions. And you even hear me kind of making predictions. And I don't want to fall into that trap, because on this channel, I like to say, make a plan. Do your research, make a plan. And if the conditions of the market meet your plan, then those are more valuable times to put in your hard-earned money. So hopefully it pays off for you. But going back to when I started this channel, before the halving, something that we talked about was how each halving, the price of Bitcoin goes up one of these colors. And right on schedule, it hit that still cheap color, which would mean if this continues next time, I don't know where exactly the halving is going to be in 28, but we would be in the yellow box. Look at that yellow box, 210K. Can you believe that? I mean, if that's the case, screw trying to time the market, even though that's not a good idea to begin with. But you could just dollar cost average in to Bitcoin right now. Screw any of the altcoins. If you believe in this rainbow chart and we've been going up here, if that continues, well, hey, you can get 65K Bitcoin and triple your profits in 4 years. Is it going to happen? I'd say a bullish case for that is that inflation's been a problem. Our currency's always being devalued, especially with inflation and money printing. And the dollar's not on a reserve currency like it was with gold in the Nixon days. And so as the dollar becomes less valuable and debt starts to rack up, Bitcoin, which keeps its value, just like gold, if we have bad recessionary times, which I would not be surprised if that were to come, then I could see gold and Bitcoin gaining value, having another leg up. So right now, rainbow chart wise, look at this. We got into the yellow zone, came down, touched the top of the accumulate zone. This third box here, we're still in the still cheap zone, technically speaking. If we stretch that out into August, the still cheap zone would be between 58 and 76K as a range. But we've talked about the halving going up a color zone each time. What about the top part of the range? High end of the red, max bubble territory. High end of the red, max bubble. High end of the red, max bubble. Last cycle, oh, my mouse is out of frame. I just noticed that. Thank you, Antonio. I cropped the screen for you guys to see a little bit. I think I cropped it too much. My apologies. I'll try to make sure everything I show is in frame. Thank you for bringing that up. First live stream, there's going to be some mistakes, but that'll help me adjust for next time. So here we had this double top, and it was the first time we did not get in max bubble territory on the rainbow chart. We got into these two zones. And so in order, we've had in 2017 max bubble, 2021 the March alt season, the second in the top zone, and the third one just touched on it, but is really the high end of the FOMO zone. And so I do wonder if next time we only get into the orange box. I'm going to try to scroll this over and make sure we can all see it. Oh, it's taking it away. Here we go. There we have it in the center of the screen. Appreciate you, Antonio. But we can look at some possible price predictions. What was that, Daniel? He said 110K by the end of 24. Let's go to the end of 24. Where does 110K fall? That's right at the upper end of this yellow zone, the holdo zone, right in the middle. 110K would be at the upper end of that middle zone. So I think that's a good prediction. Yeah, thank you, Antonio. Appreciate the feedback. I've been wondering if Bitcoin's going to get sometime next year, to 150K. And I'll get into why that is in a second. But that would be just in this zone here. 150K in March, we would be just at the top of this zone. Is that as high as we get? Because we only had the third one here, got to the higher ends of it. What if we only get to the middle or lower part of this orange box? If it's 4-year cycle, that would mean something around 184,000 Bitcoin. Again, if you're not a Bitcoin maxi and you're into altcoins, this kind of matters, but what matters more is alt season. And one thing we've looked at is Bitcoin dominance, showing when alt season happens. Let's zoom way in here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. By the 15th, it was too late. The 8th, I remember the 8th so vividly. 4 weeks until alt season. I remember this time in late 2017. Alts exploded. And so 4 weeks is all the time you had. And different alts were going up at different times. Let's take a look at that. I know District OX was one. Tron was another. District OX does a lot. Yay, let's just go that far. So you can see here, early December, look at that. District OX was, you see on the right, well, you can't see because I cropped it out. But on the right, it says around 4 cents. And then in that alt season, when things exploded, District went up 1,000% to 50 cents. 4 cents to 50 cents inside of those 4 weeks. Let's take a look at Tron. TRX. Okay, let's take a look at one where they show the whole dang chart. I don't know why it doesn't. Hate when this happens. Tron. It's on Binance. I'm not sure why it's not giving us the full chart. Maybe, yes. Okay. I'm so proud, and this is so painful for me to look at this. Back in 2017, I got Tron down here when it was at 20% of a cent. And I saw my Tron, when I bought it at 20% of a cent, go up to 30-ish cents. 15,000 increase. And would you believe that this idiot talking to you did not sell? I was in disbelief, and I did eventually sell when it, sold way off. By comparing the alt season before, look at that. Bitcoin dominance. This is going up that same time. And then by January 8th, we had a sell-off. And, I still made amazing profits, but should have freaking sold. So just so you guys know, it was a painful lesson to learn. Still made a lot of money, thankfully. But if you get 1,000x, it's okay to sell. it's, in my opinion, too risky to wait if it does a 2000x compared to going back down to a 500x or whatever. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But Bitcoin dominance, as you can see here, 4 weeks, as I showed you on those two different altcoins, Tron and District. That's when things got real. Let's keep moving on. So this is late March. Going back to the rainbow chart, we had this double top. Now, there were some altcoins and Bitcoin miners that ran more at the second top, but this first top was truly alt season. You know, when we go to the alt season index, I got to talk about this in a minute. Kind of correlated to the fear and greed chart I brought up before. But we had these 3 alt season spikes. This one right here, April, March of 21, that was the real alt season. And as you can see, by May 10th, it was pretty much done. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2017, we had 4 weeks. Last time we had about 6 weeks. And, you know, that's why we accumulate in these times. But the trick is picking the correct altcoins, because not all of them run. And not all of them run as high as they did before. So we had 4 weeks when Bitcoin dominance fell, then we had 6 weeks. One altcoin I can think about, I'm pretty sure this was one, is Civic. Yes, no, I swear there's a bigger chart out there. CVC, bear with me a moment. Gosh, no, this isn't. I'm going to give it a couple more tries here, and if I don't find it, we're just going to move on. Maybe? Ooh, yes. So Civic. This was a big altcoin in 2021. Look how high it was in 2018 at the beginning or the end of 2017. It's at $1.80. 21, that first pump in April, didn't get anywhere near there. So if you would have drawn a fib from the macro high to low, it's not going to be perfect. It only got back up to the 786. So guys, do keep that in mind. Daniel, I just saw your comment. I'll address it right after this. Keep this in mind. If you guys are into altcoins like XRP, Ripple, you know, Cardano, Doge, there's no guarantees. So this is why I talk about dollar cost average in, dollar cost average out, because I saw this happen with a lot of altcoins that did better in 2017. Next time they did not. So maybe a strategy could be, if you've been buying in down here, if your asset hits the 786, at the very minimum, get back your return on investment, your ROI. Daniel, I am big into Mara. Also think 130 by the end of 2024. Sounds like a stretch, but IG Biddy goes to 110. Do you think Mara can make it? Ooh, let's take a look at Mara. Mara. And the Bitcoin mining stock. Okay. Look at this little spike here it even had back in 2017. Do I think Mara can go to 130? But if BITY goes 110, BITY, clarification on that. Let's take a look. So Mara right here, man, as far as altcoins compared to mining stocks, to me this is a green flag. I don't want to say a red flag, but something that's standing out to me. Why are the Bitcoin mining stocks doing so well while so many of the top altcoins? Gotcha, Daniel. I figured that's what you meant, but I wanted to be sure. Why are the mining stocks doing so well when the altcoins, top altcoins, have not? We can pull up total 3. It's pretty much the Ethereum chart. but mining stocks have looked a lot better. Let's take a look at some price targets. Again, for any of you guys who have been watching my channel, we don't ignore market cap. It's very important. So many people predict things and ignore market cap. You got to be reasonable. Do I think 130 is in play? Well, man, look at this. The 1618 is at the 132. I think that is very reasonable. Should Marathon Digital Holdings, the top Bitcoin mining stock, create new highs, your first target's 130. I think that's completely reasonable. Now, I'm not saying it's going to stay there. You can see what happened last time. It got up to 83. Every time we have these cycle blow off tops, things come back down. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the case so much again this time around, that so many altcoins and miners go down 90+%, because now that BlackRock and others are into Bitcoin and they have the ETFs, I wonder if Bitcoin is going to have a stronger base and won't be as volatile. And the rainbow chart shows that. Each cycle is less volatile than before. Now, less volatile would mean less than 95% correction. So, let's say Marathon only gets to 130 and it has a 70% correction, something, and goes back down to 30. Okay, whatever. We don't know, but I would be watching this 130 mark. Let me try to zoom in here for you. The 2618, if things get really crazy, at 213. Let's map out. Actually, let's do this. Let's go from the prior high. It won't be a perfect fib. The prior high to the prior low as we draw a fib here. And Marathon pretty much hit this 1618. Didn't get up to the 2618, but it got to the 1618 pretty good and went a little bit above. So it's possible. Let's say something similar happens again. No guarantees. But maybe it does get to the 1618. Maybe blips up the 150, 160 and comes back down. That'd be a similar move. Yeah. I don't think anything stays at the high prices. I mean, it's nothing has. There's no better example than XRP. God, I remember this so vividly. In 2018, we need a better chart, one that goes back before then. Here we go. Yeah, I remember when people were getting an XRP over here at 20 cents, and then this thing exploded up to $3. And that was, again, look at that. Well, maybe you can't see the day because I overcrop things out. But that was early January. XRP was the altcoin people were talking about back then. That and Tron. Since then, we've had other players emerge. Well, Cardano was big back here too. But XRP, man, here's another case in point, why we should always watch for lower fib levels. Let's map out this prior high and low. And because we're looking at price in between, let's take a look at it on the log scale. 786. You can set a sell order at the 786 to at least get your ROI back in case it's a Civic or an XRP. People talk about Doge going to $10 and XRP going to 500, which if any of you guys have been watching my channel, I think that's bullshit. Sorry for the language. But I hate seeing that because I am completely convinced people say that because they don't care about their viewers. They want people to keep putting in money and never withdraw. Well, these people with a large following withdraw their money at much more reasonable prices. Let me hydrate here. So 786, in my personal opinion, an area to start thinking about getting back at least some portion of your investment. And if you want to let it ride, back to prior all-time highs, District OX, the one we talked about before, that's all it did, only got back to the prior all-time high. But if you want to let it ride to that or the 1618, again, make sure you take your fib. off log to look at those targets, that'd be a good way to do so. Last cycle, link, chain link. That was one of the big ones last cycle. I'm wondering how well this one's going to do. In my opinion, and I'm sorry for shilling link here. Many of you guys are smart enough to know just by watching it because I talk about it enough. Yes, I do own some link. And I want to be fair and analyze a bunch of mining stocks and altcoins. But man, famous last words in the world of crypto, I really like the research on Link. You know how many times I've said that and I've heard people say that? Funny enough, any of you guys still watching, I went back in my notes from 2017 about which altcoins I like. I wrote down a plan. I recommend you guys do the same. I looked at my notes on which altcoins I really liked, and out of the list of 10, and I did my research, guys, only like 3 of them did anything. And I remember at the time feeling so good about the 10 I picked. I put in a lot of time and research, and Tron District, and there was one other one, Cardano, maybe, but the other ones aren't even around anymore. Stuff like AppCoin and other crap. So diversify. It is hard to pick the right altcoins. I think miners are a safer play, but definitely diversify. I wanted to get to the alt season thing and kind of compare this to the fear and greed. This is going to be the bearish part of the video, and I hope you guys can see where fear and greed is. If not, it's in a downtrend, kind of like back here. And yeah, you can't quite see it. I apologize. But we're in a minor downtrend. We have a couple points of lower highs, lower lows. I'll make the correction for next video, I promise. And so fear and greed is in a minor downtrend. Again, this can be a lagging or front-running indicator, has been at different times. Sometimes it's completely correlated. As you can see here, when it was in a downtrend, look at this. This was when Bitcoin broke its all-time high from 2017. And here is when it had alt season. It had alt season as we were in the downtrend from greed to fear. So do know that's possible. But it is a downtrend. And I do wonder, this has me just minorly concerned, not too concerned, but we haven't had our alt season peak. We had a mini one, with things like Solana and Chainlink, where this happened. Chainlink was at around $6, shot up to 20. Solana did something very similar too. I'm surprised it doesn't show up bigger on the alt season index. Maybe it's just overall, so right here, I'm surprised at movement because there were a lot of alts that exploded, especially Solana, went from 20 to 200. So it did a 10x. But I almost wonder, because so many more altcoins have been created, if there's just so many altcoins out there that it's diluting the market, and so we're not going to get the true sense of alt season value. That's a thought. That's not verified by anything. I need to research that. But when Solana, Link, and a bunch of altcoins were running up at that time, I'm surprised this didn't go higher like it did back here in the first wave. Maybe because there's 50,000 altcoins out there, the overall average is way more diluted. It's a guess. I don't know. Top 50 performance over the last year. Floki and Pepe. You guys want to hear a theory of mine? A lot of people are holding on to Doge. And as I showed you with XRP and Civic, we might only get to the 786. Not a popular comment. Don't hate. I'm sorry if you have Doge. I hope it gets above the 786 fib. In my opinion, Pepe is going to be this next cycle's Doge. If this cycle isn't already mostly played out, hindsight 2020, we will see. Solana, to me, that Solana is like the chain link of last cycle or the Ripple Tron of 2017. If you take a look at how much more space in market cap the altcoins are taking up, Solana is by far the best one outside of Ethereum, obviously. I mean, yes, we have Binance Coin, but Solana has been charging. I think so many people are holding out hope for XRP, and there's been so many pump and dumps. Again, Doge, this was back just, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, when most people loved Elon. And again, not getting into politics here, but after he shared some personal opinions, not everyone loves Elon anymore. And so Elon running X, formerly Twitter, owner of Tesla, even if he says we're going to use Doge for payments, Doge to the moon, like you said on Saturday Night Live, I don't believe that it's going to have the same impact as it did when he said that stuff in 2021, we had the crypto Super Bowl, Bengals and Rams, all the crypto advertisements. Anytime the Super Bowl's running a lot of crypto ads, it's probably a good time to sell. So if all of a sudden we start getting very bullish and then next February there's more than 1 or 2 crypto ads for the Super Bowl, I'm selling. I'm telling you right now, I'm taking some profits. I'm surprised Tron's still up there. Remember what we showed you? Tron was up to 30 frickin' cents. Ugh, I'm an idiot. But yeah, Solana I think is going to be the darling this time around. Let's go back to that alt scene. What else do we have in here? SHIB, they just had some problems. ICP, I keep waiting for that one to do more. Maker, that was more of one last time. INJ, decent coin. Rune, see a lot of people talking about Rune. Is this one Caspa? Yeah, we have Doge down here, Cardano, other things. But tying this back in with the fear and greed, sorry, I got way off track. If this was on a chart and we're just drawing a line or a channel here, you could argue that this little sideways movement has broken down underneath that channel. And so I do wonder if we're going to get a little bit of a rollover. Again, this is my general thought. And if I'm thinking this, probably a lot of retail's thinking this, which means it's probably not going to happen. Let me scroll down so it looks better for you guys. Center it. Antonio, I appreciate you pointing that out, because if not, I'd be talking so much about crap that you guys can't see. It almost makes too much sense, and that makes me want to be a contrarian, because so often, what's in the news, what people expect is the opposite of what happens in the stocks and crypto market. And so you would think, we're going to present a case here that overall the markets are increasingly volatile going into the election. Overall, they have been. Let's just stick with that assumption. Okay, it's not 100%. It was like 70% or something. And that alt season index here, it's broken this trend. It's going down. Fear and greed, as we talked about, you guys can't see it because I overcropped it, but it's had a couple of lower highs, lower lows. A lot of bearish sentiment. And rainbow chart, you can see here we've had these mid-cycle tops and some chop. And so, and I'll give you one more data point, Bitcoin dominance. And again, trend lines don't have to mean jack squat. But having this trend line from the 2017 cycle came down, hit this point, 21, comes down this way, and then we have this trend line, the horizontal one. I tried to line it up with as many data points as I could, a bit of action here. We had a base here, we still have a little bit higher to go in Bitcoin dominance. And overall, Bitcoin dominance, I mean, if this was a stock I was holding, I would feel very strong about it. How it's grinding upwards. You know, any stock or crypto, you don't short things that slowly grind up. It's even kind of forming a flag pattern. You know, so my theory, and I could be wrong, which is fine. You know, really, I don't care if this happens or not. If all of a sudden Bitcoin dominance tanks, I'm looking to sell. If Bitcoin dominance goes to the low 40%, I'm looking to take profits and not looking back. Unless some of my altcoins haven't run that well, you know, then I might just keep it in because, you know, what do I have to lose at that point? But we have this dominance level at about 57.5%. I probably overcropped it. 58%. So to me, that's my base case for Bitcoin dominance, to get to 57.5%, if not higher. Now we do have this downward trend line, and so that number gets lower over time, but who knows? You know, we can extend that horizontal line out. So we'll see. And I have this red line here, by the way. I probably overcropped the bottom, but I have this here on March of 25. And the reason that is, you know, on the rainbow chart, whoop, it's got to reload. We have these 4-year cycles, okay? November 2013, or December 2013, December 2017, November 21, 4-year cycles. However, something different happened last time. With the quantitative easing and all the COVID stimulus money printing, alt season happened in March, February through April of 21, late February to early April, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We talked about that. Okay, 7 weeks. 2017, we had 4 weeks, we had 7 weeks. There's a debate going on currently in the crypto market on whether or not we still get a 4-year cycle or an early top. Guys, what if we're thinking about the 4-year cycle completely wrong? That the stimulus QE changed things, and that the 4-year cycle is still intact, but it's going to be from, you know, February, April 21 to February, April 25. I could see that happening. I'll show you why right here. And I think this will be one of the last things I talk about. You see this green and the red line? You check my math. But when we measure the amount of days from a new cycle all-time high to the next peak, it's around 300 days. Okay, that's the yellow line. This is the first time ever that the new cycle high happened before the halving. But the eventual peak, look at that, 343 days. I'll show you this so you guys know I'm not lying. From the new cycle high to the next peak, about 280 days. Okay, you guys can see the yellow lines typically are closer. 273. It averages out to 299. I just put 300. When you average out from the halving to the next peak, you get more of your classic 4-year cycle, and the date at the bottom says August. But this 300-day average, and again, it's just an average. I don't want to get too caught up in predictions, but I use prior data to at least give me a range or a guesstimate. And then it's interesting to see whether similar things play out, and if so, we're ready for it. And if not, if it doesn't happen, that's why it's important to have a plan, so we can react to the conditions of the market and not get caught off guard. If something different happens, we can roll with it because we have a plan. And with crypto, the rainbow chart, how these cycles, so many patterns, I think puts us to sleep. I do wonder, you know, look at this 300-day mark. The date at the bottom, I overcropped it, but it says December 30th of this year. The halving range would be around mid-August. A 4-year cycle from this alt season here puts us right in here, right at the end of where I drew the fib, funny enough. So what's going to happen by this time? And by the way, this angled blue line, this is just on a log scale, but this is, this is just extending from those points on Bitcoin. I'll be curious to see what happens then. But, is Bitcoin going to be around 100K? This is around 100K. It's at 98K. Or are we going to get higher? We can take a look at these fib extensions. Again, let me get rid of that. Let's put our fib off log to look at some of these extensions. Well, guys, 100K is at the 1618. You can see it here near that trend line going up. Is that all we get? Or do we get the 2618 at 155, 150? Okay, let's bring it back to the rainbow chart, which is hard to see, but I'm going to try to drag it over. It is so touchy with the mouse. I'm doing my best. Here we go. Oh my God. I dragged it over. It was perfect. I let go and then it went away. Where would, I hope this is still showing up on your screen. Where would March of 25, wouldn't it be funny if this plays out? Again, I'm not married to any of these ideas. And sometimes, even when so many stars align, the market does the complete opposite. So you have to be ready for that. But 100K would be right in the middle of the yellow, the hold zone. 150K, the 2618, would be up in the orange box. And we've talked about how max bubble territory, the second territory, the sell one, the FOMO one, maybe we only get these this time around. If we have a 4-year cycle from the March top in 21, that might be what we get, 100 to 155K only in these boxes. Most YouTubers are saying things like 200K, 500K. I like talking about the rainbow chart so much. Same reason I like putting the XRP shills in their place is I don't want people leaving their money in the crypto market and not making anything from it. Both cycles, I've known people, and I've been one of them. I mean, I made money each cycle overall, but it did not feel good leaving money in, when I could add 10 times more than what I did, but I held too long. I didn't make that mistake in 21 like I did in 2017. But it doesn't feel good seeing people hold on too long. And when so many crypto YouTubers are promoting these unrealistic price targets, I don't want to see everyday people with their hard-earned money waiting to get more money, and times are hard enough as is, waiting to get more money, be like, well, all these people said Doge was going to $10. I just kept holding. I bought Doge at 10 cents and went up to $2, but I thought it was going to 5 or 10. That's not how we talk about crypto investment strategies on this channel. I don't want to lead you guys astray. Obviously, nothing here is financial advice. I just want you guys to be realistic, though. If any of you are watching in replay, comment below. What are your Bitcoin price targets? Or what are some altcoins or mining stocks that you have? And what are your price targets for those? I'm curious. I have around 650 subscribers now. Thanks to all of you who are subscribers. I appreciate it. I love talking about this stuff. I enjoy doing it for free. I absolutely love it, because if any of you guys are here watching my videos, from personal experience, not a lot of people in our lives talk about crypto. And you don't want to be that guy talking to people about crypto when you can clearly see the blood draining out of their heads. Like, oh God, this conversation again. I thought this crap was over with. So one thing I want to do is just, start a community, a positive community. So many crypto communities are very, very toxic. Investment communities in general, because everyone has to be right. I want to be open-minded to the bullish, the bearish. I kind of hate even saying bullish or bearish, because if you have data to back it up, I don't think it's bullish or bearish. I think you are being reasonable. You're using data to make an informed decision. I have nothing against that, whether it aligns with what I think or not. So, yeah, March of next year, I'll be very interested to see where crypto is at. If it's up here at around, the 1618, be about a 50-60% move up. What's alt season going to be like? Is alt season just going to be a mini one? Or just rolls over? Crypto golfer, it is not just you. That was my fault. This is my first live stream, and before I broadcast it, I cropped out some of the screen, obviously, so certain bits of personal information wouldn't show up, but I overcropped it. I overdid it. So I will make that correction for next time. Yeah, that's not just you. That was me. My screw up. But first live stream, it's good to figure out the mistakes and move forward and give you guys better content in the future. So, Bitcoin dominance, once it rolls down, if it does anything like it has before, and there's no guarantee, whether it's 4 weeks down like in 2017 or 6 weeks down like in 21, maybe it's 8 weeks this time. That's what I'm going to be watching for. Wouldn't it suck if it just came down to here and then bounced up and we didn't really get an alt season? Let's check out some Doge. Ooh, we have some requests. I'll look at Doge with you. I don't know if you're here in the earlier part of the stream, but I was showing other altcoins that did very well in 2017 that only got up to the 786 on the fib in 2021. And so I was saying that I believe, at least this cycle around, God, you're going to unsubscribe after you hear this. But I said, Pepe looks like it's going to be this cycle's Doge. Okay. It's just been a lot stronger. I don't think Elon has the same pull as he did in 21. But if you believe he does, hey, great. I still think great money can be made off Doge. So Doge, let's take this fib. Let's extend it out. Tell it's been a little bit. So Doge came down to, well, is fighting the moving averages and the 236. Good accumulation down here underneath 10 cents. Broke up to the 0.5 at around 20 cents. I'll say the numbers because I overcrop things like an idiot. Came down to the 200-week moving average, that dark blue line, and the 236. Nice bounce up. So it's in this downward channel, as you guys can see here. Let's see if we can make this a little bit better. Yeah, it's in this downward channel. Would like to see Doge break out of it. And if it does, great. Actually, let's throw in our buy-sell signal indicators. Doge has a weekly buy signal. Now, sometimes these things go in waves, and we can be green for a month or two, or, we're on our way down 2 weeks, hit the top, sold off. Okay, we wicked up to the top of this channel. I would be watching for this 14 cent mark. If it starts to get above 14 cents, then it's got to test the 19 cent area, the 0.5. But before we get ahead of ourselves, if it doesn't get that 14 area, and things do get bearish, you'd be looking at price action back here and looking between 8 to 9 cents, which I would not blame anyone, even if Doge doesn't do as well as it did last cycle. I would not blame anyone for getting at 8 cents. Magic Mather, we looked at the XRP and the chart for Civic CVC, and just something to note, it's okay if you disagree, but for altcoins that have done great in prior cycles, if they don't get new all-time highs, I've seen them get only up to the prior all-time high mark, which for Doge was 73 cents, 74. But for XRP, Civic can only get back up to the 786 at around 41 cents. So my thought, as far as dollar cost averaging in and out, is at least get your ROI, your return on initial investment back, and then play with house money. Obviously nothing here is financial advice. If you want to look at some price targets, I will consider market cap. Take that fib off log. The 1618 at $1.16, the 2618 at $1.85. In my opinion, those are the most realistic ones. What is Doge's market cap? We have to go to Doge's market cap. Let's just say 20 billion. Nice round number. So 20 billion market cap when it was up here at 70 cents. That was about, I'm doing the math in my head, 5 times higher. So 100 billion, around $100 billion market cap. If it gets up to the 1618 or higher, the 2618 at $1.85, a $1.50, you're talking about Doge with a $200 billion market cap. I think that is overly bullish in my opinion. I would be looking at the 1618 at $1.65. Or no, sorry, $1.16. It says 1.165. So $1.16 would be my realistic expectation. Take a look. We have all these altcoins at like 10 to 20 billion dollars. You got to be realistic with the market cap expectations. 100 to 200 billion for the best altcoins, in my opinion. The only one I think that rule doesn't apply to is Solana at 75 billion. I would not be surprised if Solana got up to 300 to 500 billion. I'm not saying it's going to stay there, but I would not be surprised if Solana, again, that's, in my opinion, the one, if we get another alt season like we've had before, Solana would be the darling altcoin of this bull run. I don't believe Ethereum's going to flip Bitcoin. I know that's always talked about. It's talked about in 2017. I remember people talking about it back then. Didn't happen. Talked about it in 2021. Didn't happen. Some people, most bullish sentiment is Ethereum doing a 3x like 1.2 trillion, getting around 10K. Hey, maybe. If Bitcoin gets to 150K at the 2618 fib and has around a $3 trillion market cap, which would be up there with Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, sounds crazy. That to me is the most bullish scenario. That's why I don't believe 200K personally. I think a $3 trillion market cap, in my opinion, at the 1618 on the macro fib for 150K Bitcoin is the best case scenario. It's 100K or 150K, somewhere around there. But if it does, then Ethereum, 10K, sure, why not? So we'll go back to this fib here. 1618 at around 100K. And again, my fibs aren't perfect, so plus minus 510K. 2618 at around 155. I tell you, if we do get a March 4-year cycle, from here to here, I'm leaning more towards 100K Bitcoin, and that possibly being it. That would catch a lot of people by surprise. And then a SOL ETF on top of that. Crypto golfer. We have an Ethereum ETF. I don't know if it's been confirmed. My one bit of caution to you would be this. The Bitcoin ETF right here. We pumped into it. It was a buy the rumor, sell the news event. you might hear my cat's automatic feeder going off in the background. Sorry if that freaked any of you out. But things pumped into the ETF and then it had a big correction. So I'm curious, with the Ethereum ETF, are we going to get the same? I mean, eventually, obviously, after we had that 20% correction, tell the whole story here. Mr. Market Psychology, we went up 90%. So just be careful of the good news. Be very careful of the good news. ETH ETF starts this week. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll be watching ETH. Let's take a look. And we have a buy signal. Are we gonna Tuesday? Thanks, Daniel. Having a little bit of a pump. Tuesday. It's not far from now. What's going to happen? I'm more interested in what's going to happen after the fact. But, it is curious how we're looking at Ethereum. I don't know if you guys have heard of the 10-day rule. But anytime something's green for 10 days, you got to be careful. Yeah, this has been 10, 11 days. So, yeah, I would just say be careful. Magic Mather, is there a way to figure out black swan years? I'm curious if the 4-year cycle will repeat. Yeah, we talked about that it's tricky, the 4-year cycle. What are we referencing? Are we referencing the ultimate top in November or the alt season top in March and April? Because it's possible. That's the big debate right now in crypto, whether or not we get the 4-year cycle. But, if things get bullish by the end of this year, early next year, technically that's a 4-year cycle. Maybe the whole COVID stimulus changed things. But is there a way to figure out black swan years? We had this black swan event, and let me show you something. This kind of helps. Interesting to see all the sell pressure from Grayscale. Their fees are going to be 2.5%. GBTC was only 1.5%. Thanks for sharing. I want to show you something that can help with at least finding black swans. So we have this fib, and I put on log, but we're going to add a couple things. We're going to add it's about 9-10%. Did I do that right? Oh God. Oh, I need to add another 0. Duh. This is good at catching little fake moves. So people back here thought this was the bottom. So many people thought 20K Bitcoin was the bottom. And then we had a black swan event at the bottom, the whole FTX crash. This caught that fake out to the downside. Back here, people were talking about 12K Bitcoin. Obviously, we know that didn't happen, but this 9% measure move, I like drawing fibs this way because it's good at capturing the movements up or down. I'm curious what it's like off log scale. Okay, interesting. So yeah, just something to think about. Figure out black swan years. I guess as far as years, if you're going by 4-year cycles, this is the hard part because these halvings have been at the bottoms, relatively speaking, each cycle, but not this time. This time the halving was at the new top that was created. So our cycle has been, I think, moved forward by, what's the difference between March and November? 9 months. Yeah, it seems that the bottoms have moved about 9 months away. Does that line up here? A little bit more than that. So, yeah, I have this red line here for August of 25 as the very last possible end of the range. It's the average from the halvings to the next peaks. So in my opinion, I'm really going to be watching, later this year to August of next year. And if Bitcoin's hitting the 1618 at 100-ish K, and Bitcoin dominance rolls over to the mid low 40%, I'm fine taking profits and waiting a couple of years. We can actually, let's do this. Let's measure, how long did it take? I'm not looking at the percent. 394 days, very top to bottom. Let's go from 2017. From top to bottom, 420 days. Okay, so that's kind of an average. 420, 410. It's kind of the same. High 300s, low 400s from the peak. What about the time before, 2013? High 300s, low 400s? Let's find out. It's a bit longer, but I mean, even at the 400-ish mark, it was 400 to 600 that it stayed down there. So around 400 from whenever the peak is. So I would say, you bring up an interesting question, Magic Mather. If Bitcoin breaks under the 50-week moving average, I mean, it has before, but let's say we get up to 100K, we get a bigger bullish move like this, and it gets underneath the 50-week and turns bearish, maybe even back down to the 100 or 200 week or underneath it like it did before. Maybe we'll have to go to the monthly. Let me show you that on the monthly. Bitcoin got down to the 100-month moving average. Before, it got down to the 50. Twice. 50-month moving average, 50-month, then 100-month. I'm not saying it's going to happen again. Maybe it only gets down to the 50-month. My opinion, don't wait to unload your entire bag at a bottom you predict. That's why we dollar cost average in. Because 50-month moving average is still great value if you believe in it. I'm putting in at the 50-month. And if it goes lower, cool, I'll put in more. But I'd be watching for those. And if we make a peak, what is 400 days? I have the summer of 2026 here in this green line, kind of as it's overall the average between the bottoms. And so, summer of 26, I mean, we'll see what happens. Anything can happen. But if the averages play out, that might be somewhere around the correction phase or bottom. Anyways, well, you got 5-6 people in the chat. Got a lot of good comments. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Like Antonio thankfully pointed out, and one other person, I'll make the correction with the cropping. First ever live stream, I had to set up an encoder, blah, blah, blah. Do new things with my computer I've never done before. And so, obviously, live streams, I'm going to be making mistakes here or there. Please, feel free to give your input. Got time for one more? I have a micro cap. I'd like to know your opinion price target. Sure, Antonio. Give me one more and we'll finish there. And guys, when I do these in the future, if you want me to take a look at any of these with you, Magic Mather, love you too. Thank you for the nice comment. I appreciate it, buddy. You're awesome. This is the type of crypto community I want to grow. So many are toxic. I want to have one where we can share various ideas with one another. Antonio, what do you got for me, brother? Is it a Coinbase coin, a Bitcoin miner, a Robinhood coin? At least I didn't do a CrowdStrike update. Oh man, crypto golfer. I have, so right now I'm on vacation still. I'm off for a bit. And I have so many friends who they were telling me, they're like, well, going golfing early today. And it's like, yeah, what are you supposed to do? Freaking Y2K CrowdStrike. Okay, Antonio wants me to take a look at ALU, B&B Gaming Infrastructure. Interesting. So, kind of like an IMX coin. ALU. Altura? Is this the one? I would assume. Please confirm as I'm... Woo! Please confirm as I'm pulling this up. Altura. Okay. Is this the best chart I can get? Now, I was flying from Vegas to Florida. Man. Yeah, it must have been brutal. How's the weather in Florida right now? I have some friends that live down there. It's got to be humid this time of year, right? MXC. Well, that's okay. Yeah, similar chart. Okay. Antonio, I assume I'm on the right altcoin. It says Altura. I'm going to give you my bullish and my bearish point of view here. Please don't hate me. This happened when I talked about Aerodrome. You guys can go check out the comments on that video. As I talked about earlier in this live stream, yeah, 95 human as fuck. Sorry for the language. I was just in Japan not long ago, and it was exactly that. And where I live right now is not a humid place. I grew up in the Midwest where it is humid. When I went to Japan, I was like, oh my God. And I went on some big hikes like Fuji and other places. It was brutal. At least with Fuji, you got, high in elevation, so it was nice and cool. But man, rain, humidity. Love Florida though. Drink a lot of rum runners for me. Anytime I go to Florida, I get rum runners. All right, sorry, Antonio, you're waiting. Altura. Earlier in the video, I was talking about altcoins that I really love that I researched in 2017. Inverse the chart. Antonio's looking for deep, deep value. He's roaring kitty. So in 2017, 21, I researched so many coins and I narrowed down my list to 10 or less. And each time, I gotta be honest, like I have 2 to 3 very strong performers and the rest are okay or shit. And I want you to be careful of coins like these, okay? Now, thankfully, one time I found a coin, brand spanking new. It was called Tron, and that one was the biggest gainer of any coin I've ever bought from the bottom. It was brand new. I mean, let's take a look at the market cap, ALU. That'll be important. Again, we have to be reasonable with market cap, as far as... Okay, number 800 overall coin. Inverse the chart. Love it. And it has a market cap of 27 million. Tiny, tiny coin. Yeah, I mean, so if this hits, 200 million or even, close to 3 billion, you're talking about 100x. Antonio here wants 100x. Hope he gets it. I would say be very, very careful. Anytime coins come out near the cycle all-time high or when Bitcoin is creating new all-time highs, this coin is going to 40. This coin got to 40 cents in 21. This chart doesn't go back enough. I need to find a better chart. I want to find one that tells the whole dang story. Here we go. This is better. It's kind of like when I search for Hedera H-bar. Okay, this one got the 40 cents. So, cool. That would be like a 14x from here. Yeah, 1,600%. Okay. Let's draw a fib here. Sorry, I started to go on a rant, and I'm glad you corrected me. I go, well, this guy shut up and just... This coin is not a new coin, Mr. Market Psychology. I apologize. Oh. This is what I want to do. My cat is saying hi right now. He's on the computer. Okay. Sorry for the rambling I did before. So, what do we got here? Got up to the 618. It was above the 382, which is nice. But then it came down. We're on the weekly here. Okay, so we have some price structure here. If you like the project, maybe put like 3% of your money. Yeah. I mean, this is, if you like the project and you've already put money in, I would not blame you for putting in more at this value. We have some good price structure, in these 3 spots. But right now, this is not good. I mean, it's possible as a base here from this price structure. If it goes lower, obviously, we're looking, down here at 2 cents. Even as price structure all the way back here as well. So yeah, it's possible you're finding a low here. It's possible you have a bottom. Like I talked about with XRP and Civic, maybe consider withdrawing a certain amount at the 786, around 19 cents. But if things get psycho bullish, let's take our fib off log. I know nothing about this coin, by the way, so I can't tell you anything more than charting. There's so many coins out there. The 1618 is at 72.5 cents, roughly. The 2618 is at $1.17. Again, do your calculations, factor in market cap. What did we say? The market cap was, let's just say 30 million to give us a nice round number. So the price right now is at around 3 cents. And so, a 20x would be around 60 cents, be around maybe like a 25x, 50x up here. Yeah. We talked about a 100x being around 2-3 billion. So that would put this obviously 2 decimals over 2.8. That's above the 4236. So we're blowing through this chart. But man, if it starts hitting these levels, I am very much considering selling, especially if that happens within the year. A stock that acted like a crypto. I'll show you this, just case in point. NVIDIA. This thing blew through everything. It blew through the whole damn chart. So when it got up, at these levels, I was lucky enough to get NVIDIA in here. When it was getting through these levels, and I was thinking to myself, it's gone up over a 10x a stock to be one of the top stocks within a year and a half. Got to take some profits. So, I think you have to be similarly minded with crypto. If things start to get stupid bullish within the year and this thing starts, doing a 20x, 50x, start planning now what areas are your take profit areas, whether the fibs or whatever. So, don't just hold the whole bag, not financial advice, but I would not hold the entire bag waiting for the 4236. Take out certain percentages, set your sell orders. But yeah, overall, this kind of, what chart does this remind me of? I've seen this chart a lot. I want to say ICP, kind of. IMX. Yeah, kind of closer to IMX. That ALU chart I've been seeing in a lot of crypto charts. What I do like about that ALU chart, like these, is it's showing that money is moving through it, that it has volume, it has interest. But I've done no research on it. So, if you've researched it, you like it, think, overall the chart shows good value. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. It's getting a little late. Thank you for joining. Hopefully we keep growing this community. So next Monday, I'll put out a video. Got to take one of my pets to the vet in the morning, so the video will come out kind of in the early afternoon. But yeah, what am I going to talk about next Monday? Not the rainbow chart. I think maybe altcoins. I'll do a Coinbase altcoin video, or maybe Robinhood. I haven't talked about Robinhood altcoins in a while. But thanks for joining me. Happy Saturday. Thanks for keeping me company on this Saturday. And yeah, thank you, Antonio. And again, I'll fix the cropping issue. So appreciate it, guys. Have a wonderful day. Take care. And you're going to see me fumble around without ending the stream here.